And I should say that I'm very much fortunate to be here with you, ladies and gentlemen, and I express my sincere gratitude to National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Northeastern Regional Center, Assam, India, and Bangladesh Academy for Rural Development for selecting me as a speaker. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to assure you that the topic I'm going to share with you is my learning from my life. I worked in Bangladesh Academy for Rural Development for 33 years. So I have so many interaction with the project related works. I was project director of a Korean supported project. So Kumilla is famous, BARD is famous for the reason that all the development, that means they put the people center for development. So we learn, we are not bookish, we learn from the field. So I think that my experience, this is a great chance to speak a wonderful platform, big platform, and sharing my knowledge with the enlightened people like you. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to speak for 35 to 36 minutes time, and I will spare 3 to 4 minutes time at the end of my lecture. So once again, I am very much happy and delighted and honored to be here with you, enlightened participants. Thank you very much. I am going to my session. So my talking points today is a project and project identification. I will clear a little bit. It was discussed earlier a little bit, but I'll speak from my own. And importance of the project, I will be speaking a little bit on that. Priority areas of project identification, metrics and tools for project identification, and I'll just spare some concluding remarks. That is my lesson plan for today. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a very true definition. I just put it here. It's a bookish definition, and of course it has some value for that. A project is a specialized arrangement or activity for addressing a particular problem or improving a particular situation. That is one. That is given by the SEDA in 1988. The other one is it is a number of activities to be performed within a specific time to bring about positive changes in socio-economic conditions through using social, economical, technical, natural and human resources. So many things are there. But in the last 28 years, in my service career at BARD, the wonderful place, all the times I keep the memories, the golden memories in my heart about BARD. I conceived the idea since 1992, it was almost 28 years, that project is nothing but a number of works. One component number of works that has to be carried out in a stipulated time. Stipulated time, it is maybe 5 years, 3 years, most cases 5 years, 8 years. That has to be carried out in a stipulated time, which needs resources. Of course, it needs resources. So these 3 items, number of works, and needs stipulated time, and which need resources, these 3 components are very common in any ordinary work. I understand project that way, that it is different from other normal works, is that it should have national priority, it should have regional priority, it should have international priority, it should have priority of the mass people. So whenever you put together these 4 components, that summation of work, stipulated time, resources, need resources, and should have national or regional or international priority. And this package, when you put to solve a problem, number of problems, or improve upon a particular situation, that calls project. So that I conceived in the last 28 years as project director, as a project manager. So ladies and gentlemen, that is how the project is there, and it is easy for you to understand, to keep you in mind, these 4 components. So what are the objectives of project? Developing socio-economic condition, developing physical infrastructure, helping in achieving national and sectoral plan, helping in achieving long-term development plan, overcoming the barriers of development. These are some areas that every government, there is so many ministries, so many divisions are there. And under the divisions, so many, the autonomous body and so many departments are there. They are all doing so for developing the socio-economic condition of Bangladesh. They are all doing the physical infrastructure development. They are all doing in achieving national and sectoral plan. They are all doing in achieving long-term development plan. Ladies and gentlemen, then what is the need of the project? Then the need of the project is that it adds value to that. It enhances the growth. It adds value to the GDP of the country. So that is the core message. And to implementation of the large number of projects in different countries. Project is applied to developed countries, developing countries, underdeveloping countries. Everywhere you find that project is there to solve some problems or improve on a particular situation. And overcoming the barriers of development, it is sometimes project we take that way, that to test some the theories in the practical field before going for larger implementation. So the project says the dimension, that what are the criteria, what are the need we need to have, what are the criteria, what are the steps we need to implement that type of project in larger scale. So I mean that on overcoming the barriers of development. So ladies and gentlemen, now this is an idea how the project is. Let me share with you that the importance of the project that way. The total budget of Bangladesh government in Bangladesh, I'm just talking of Bangladesh, this year, running year, 2019-20, it is $63 billion in terms of US dollar. And out of this $63 billion, and third, it is $24 billion have been invested for project implementation. And total number of projects now, 1,358. You understand, there are mega projects, small projects are there. All these are the socio-economic development condition of Bangladesh. Bangladesh was running very fast before the infection, before the pandemic situation. One of the highest growth, just equally running with the Rwanda, the highest growth over 8% in GDP. So that is we express our gratitude to our respected Prime Minister. The tremendous, he gives more emphasis in different areas. Project is one of them. So higher project, but after the COVID-19, you know that our project performance, like all over the world, is not up to the mark. About 57% until May this year. June only 1 month left. It is all over the world. There is not, for many reasons we are, you know that there is a lot of problem due to the pandemic situation. Ladies and gentlemen, in India, the national budget this year is about, just to give you an idea how it is important, it is about $418 billion. And out of this $14 billion, $50 billion, almost $50 have been invested for scheme and projects. So this is about 12% of the national budget. So it's very important from that point of view. So Dr. Jayanto Chaudhary was nicely speaking. I was here a little bit because I was just witness of the inaugural session. So I was all through his presentation, wonderful presentation. I appreciate him. So he showed that 5, 6, 7 steps if we just make it in the project cycle: identification, preparation, appraisal, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. And you know that he just make the dotted sign there. The evaluation and identification stands sometime in the same platform, because evaluation of a project gives new idea or identify new problems or new exposure for the development. So that is how it makes the project cycle. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important, that an evaluation gives new project identification and also also gives some scope for the development. So it is some written there. The first steps are commonly initiated by the institution and different ministry. Project implementation is carried out by majority cases by institution with close supervision of concerned ministries in the government sector. And government is the major actor in project implementation all over the world. And monitoring work space with both physical presence in project area and also filling the prescribed formats. And it was just. Ladies and gentlemen, now I am just talking about coming. I am sorry for that, for the inconvenience. So I'm just talking the project identification. Very simple. We identify the project identification is that way. That is before that identification. It was nicely defined that by Dr. Joyanta Chaudhary, training course director, that identifying solution of a particular problem or a number of problems, or solution for a particular problem, number of problems on the basis of various factors we call project identification. And also project identification explains the scope of development of a particular two areas. One is the problem and another one is further scope of the development. So gentlemen, ladies, I was just talking about the three steps are there for project identification. The identification in all cases, project identification is in all cases we have to follow three steps. One is the identification of a local area. What are the problems in local area? That we did in Kumilla. In Kumilla Bar, that is identify the local need, because there is a number of prescriptions in the SDGs. There is a number of prescriptions in the national plan. So we need to match with the local needs with the national plan or the SDGs goal, target and indicators. So ladies and gentlemen, low productivity, just a very common feature in developing countries, inadequate infrastructure, lack of capital, inaccessibility or poor access to the inputs. These are the problems in rural areas. And then we need to identify what are the available resources of the particular local areas. Then we identify the natural resources, what are the natural resources, human resources, financial resources, and other resources. Then we can identify the ideas of the project ideas. Then we can match this one on the basis of the SDGs. You know that there are 17 goals in SDGs by 2030 and 126 targets and 232 in 169 targets and 232 indicators are there. All these are very well spread. So you can just compute. You can even the national plan of every country translated the SDGs goal in many ways according to the need of the nation. So national plan and SDGs are, you know that it is the target is common with respect to the respective country. So sectoral studies also there to identify the project development plan. So the basic thing you need, you keep in your mind for project identification, that's the local need, local identification, local need. I'm talking about the how to identify the local needs. There are some metrics, there are some tools. That is very important. If you go into the metrics and you go into the tools in local areas, you will get huge confidence to make project proposal. So the main response, the main bridging point is there, that the local need, local for the development, local need to solve a problem, then you have to link it with the SDGs, national plan, or election manifesto of the running government. So these are the major documents we can intervene, we can consider for project, you know, the identification. So I told earlier that generally the projects identify on the basis of area mentioned in the following documents: Sustainable Development Goals, National Plan of the Government, whatever countries. I'm happy to know that about 64 countries, respected participants from 64 countries are attending this workshop, working this the plan. So Sustainable Development Goals, we are all belong to the United Nations. So United Nations, that we translate our national goal, national plan is their 7-5-year plan already going to be completed this year. Then commitment given in the election manifesto of the government etc. of the respective government of different countries. So these are some, and all cases, these three major areas are very similar, are very close together. Ladies and gentlemen, in the practical field, what are the things we practice for project identification? As a worker in the field, I did some works in project, that is in rural development projects: stakeholder analysis, SWOT analysis, ranking exercise, and resource findings. So these are the four areas, these are the four tools, these are the four tools we can use for project identification. Now, stakeholder analysis. Stake we understand, stake means the bunch of stick. But the development economics picks up this wonderful word, stakeholder, in project management, that it means that the different the participation institution, the different persons in a development process is called the stake of the development process. So what do we learn from the stakeholder analysis? It is a process through which social and institutional background of a development intervention, that is called project, can be understood. Positive and negative impacts on different groups and class of people can be realized due to the project implementation before it starts. So stakeholder analysis is very important for identification of the project. So there are some definitions: what is called primary stakeholders, what is called secondary stakeholders, what is called the key stakeholders. This word we used to pronounce in whenever we talk about the projects: the primary stakeholder, secondary stakeholder, and key stakeholder. Primary stakeholder who are directly affected with the development interventions, then farmers, micro fishermen, micro credit borrowers, etc. Secondary stakeholders who are not directly affected with this type of intervention, but secondarily they are affected. They are the donor agencies, microfinance organization. And key stakeholders, we also use the term when we talk the key stakeholders. Key stakeholders is almost similar to the primary stakeholders. But sometimes we use the terms key stakeholders for the organization, but in primary stakeholders we do not use the organization related issues as a primary stakeholder. So key stakeholders very commonly we use as a primary stakeholders. So methods of stakeholder analysis: using metrics, conduct survey works with the participation of groups, individual and stakeholders, workshop, local advice, focus group discussion, participatory analysis. And we use all these tools in our life, in our practical field. So we are happy that we are talking about which we did in the practical field. So ladies and gentlemen, now this is a matrix, and let me explain you. Let me give you an idea to give an example. This is a matrix. This matrix will lead you whether you go for a project. You'll go initially whether you go for select a project or not. For an example, let me take you a project. A project, you or me just intend to pick up a project that is an irrigation project. For an example, just take this way, that I am going to take an irrigation project where to irrigate about 180,000 hectares of land. Because there is a big area, whatever it is in Bangladesh or some other else area, it's hypothetical to give you understanding. That irrigation area, there is an area that 2,000 hectares land is there, which is 6 months inundated by water. And rest 6 months, only 10%, or that means 20,000 hectares land remains underwater, and 180,000 land just become dry. So in the rest 6 months, we like to produce one crop, big crop, and that big crop adds 2 million metric tons of food grain to the national product, to the national total volume. 2 million metric tons is a huge volume of rice. So this is the project idea. So now you go to the village for the first time. It is very sound project in terms of national priority. It is very sound project in terms of you consider the SDGs goal number 2. It is target 8 and 15 indicators are there. So this is very important. Food security is the major security. Even this pandemic situation, all the countries are thinking about the food security. So from the point of view, this project is very visible project, very important project. Now, whenever you go to the field to assess whether the stakeholder analysis, whether you go for the project or not, then you just carry out the blank rows are there. 3 blank rows are there below. So one is just you put it farmer under the group. The seven columns are there, 5 columns are there, 5 columns are there. Just you put here the farmers. In 2,000 hectares of land, there are so many farmers are there. Big farmers there, small farmers there, medium farmers are there. So you put it farmers. So disadvantage due to the project implementation. That means the project you intend to impose there, you intend to start there, the irrigation project. So what is the disadvantage? If the farmer is there, then of course it will bring benefit. Irrigation project all over the world brings benefit to the landowners. So effect on the project, it is not mathematical, just you put it here plus. Importance of the group for project, importance of group for implementing the project, the 4th column. So farmers, the landowners are always powerful all over the countries. Different countries, they are very much powerful. So you give it here, I ranking here up to 5, the critical role you give or very important role you can give it here. Then extent of influence of the group on the project. That means that farmers group, landowners group. So that is also very influential. That is, you have to do 5-1. Now I bring your kind attention, row number 2. Then the fishermen. Fishermen are the poor people, in most cases characterized no land. Their livelihood depend on the fishing in the wet season and partially fishing in the dry season. 2,000 hectares of the land. So in the project proposal, you may suggest alternate livelihood. But you can, so disadvantage, group fishermen, then coming to the second row column, disadvantage due to the project implementation, it should be either disadvantage because thousands of years there 4 generations live in that way. Water bodies in the rainy season and dry season only water bodies the partially that way. So it will bring disadvantage for them. Effects on the group, if you just suggest alternate livelihood pattern, then you can give it 0 but cannot plus. It is difficult to give it plus. Minus or 0 will give it. Importance of the group for implementing the projects. They don't have any voice. They are poor people. They are running behind people. So you give it 1 or 2 maximum. Extent of influence of the group of the project, they don't have any influence, no voice. So also you give it 1 or 2. In that way, you fill up all the categories of people, all professional people in the row. That will give you some dimension whether you will go for the project or not. Although it is very sound project, food production project, and if you just believe like me, but the people that who believe in cost and benefit only, then I can say that I'll go for the project. But the enlightened people like you who are listening me, that you may say that you will not go for that type of project at the cost of extinction of a community from the society. You can say that way. So both are the right that way to speak. But you know that it will drive you to how to select the project, how to select for that. If you can go for the project, although it is a food security is concerned, also you can tell that at least one community will be extinct after 10 or 15 years from the project area. So we don't like to adopt that type of project. So both are right. So in that case, you have to drive your own way there. You have to bring your own rationale. And of course, when you are prepared the project, you need to go a number of steps upwards to get approval of the project. So you have to keep in your mind when you prepare the projects, you have to own your own rationale and your ideology and your thinking about the project. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one matrix, time is very short. And another matrix I put it here. So this is a state of financial inclusion. I'm not just that one. The financial inclusion, whenever you identify a project, that you go for the project. For an example, this is that irrigation project. I don't know whether you go for the project or not, but for financial inclusion, I say that just consider that if primarily you select that project, that financial inclusion for poverty reduction. Poverty is the first goal of SDGs. Zero poverty by 2030. So, ladies and gentlemen, so that project you are going, this is different project, just not that previous one. So initially you select that project, and I'll give it another thing, that if you select the project once, then what are the you know, the different stakes, what are the interests of different stakes, and what are the things you need to carry out as a project manager. So this chart will drive you. This is not the Bible that I put in front of you. This is a local case. This is true for me. This is not true for you. But the procedure you have to follow. Then the rural poor is there. Then what is the interest of the rural poor? Reduce the burden of livelihood. Improve the quality of life. Education, sanitation, housing. But they don't have voice. And in educate conversation, they cannot bargain. Some of them left out from the inclusion. When you take the program, it is learning, long learning, that in all cases we cannot include all the poors. All the time left out. So these are the concern area of the rural poor. Then I assess this is a very rank 1, B and C according to the magnitude. Then I put it here A. This is very important. Then I find out against this demand, capacity building through forming groups. I feel that this pro, you know, that the reality of the poor can be somehow overcome by taking these measures: capacity building through forming groups, capital formation through savings, government support. And I recall with great respect our respected Prime Minister that my farmer, my house, that project brings huge capital for the poor people in Bangladesh in the last 1 decade of time. And also bring the left out, they have to take measure to bring out the old into the program, old and the poor people into the program. Then what is the interest of the financial institution, local bank and interest? Local bank, then you identify local bank, need of collateral for credit. The board does not have any collateral, but local bank needs the local credit. Now, as a project manager, you have to think what are the steps you need to carry out. Interest of the credit. The local bank looks for the interest of the bank. Assurance of getting back the money. These are the interests you have to consider. You have to realize that these are the interests of the bank, and against the interest, you have to formulate some of the measures in your project so that the effectiveness of the project will be ensured. Service provider as a part-time of the job, because the bankers are there, poor people coming to them for their services, but he does not care, he does not feel, he is not enough motivated. He said that why I should carry out this one. He said that okay, if you come next day, or need some bribe, it is a developing country, it is come, or maybe say you come a few days later. So the poor people, the program will. So against this situation, you go for some motivational program, regular program, special banking, including creating networks, banking various financial institutions, motivation, support, regular regulation for ensuring governance, transparency, accountability. These are some words that we use, but we desperately need to use to transfer, but to implement this, the transparency, accountability, responsiveness, etc. in our daily life, and measures for governance issues. So these are the areas. Once you identify the project, financial project, then you have to find out the different groups' interest for the project, for project management, and what are the measures you are taking. So this matrix will help you to go for. Then the supervising authority again come. More coverage, achieving the targets. That is the supervising authority. Then monitoring, solve dispute of the field situation, because whenever the program runs, so in the field situation maybe the number of disputes are there. Provide inputs for the development program. So provide input for the development program. Then what are the measures you know that against it? I put it in a B. It may be in your situation, it may be A. It may be in your situation, local C, it may be C. So bring the left out into the program with adopting proper measures. Strong monitoring for ensuring governance issues. Now, the last one, I just put it here, 4 stakes here. You may need 5 to 6 stakes. So you have to work on that. Whenever you identify one project and identify the development works. Then whenever you identify development works, then you see that what are the existing network prevail in the project area, in that area, and what are the, whenever they involve them, what are the interests of those people, and how to address those interests from your own project, so that the project can harvest the best benefit out of it. Then coordination committee for credit disbursement and recovery, because we have to ensure at the end of the day that 100% recovery, poor people pay back the money. So and it is a learning for us. The big people does not pay back the money, but poor people pay back the money. Then adopt recommend measures, dispute arise in the field situation, nationalized and private banks, financial institution and geo forum at the local level can clear their positions. So this is almost take place in the district level, and deputy commissioner is there, and all the banking, all the financial institutions they are together. So I put it here ranking B, and avoiding the duplicating and ensure coverage and reach wider clientele group. So this is a maybe one monthly, after month they sit together and clear this one, that no duplication, that is taking from one bank or from one NGO or like this. So whenever the people then vicious cycle of the loan, so the poor cannot come outside of that one. So we have to very clear that the taking credit should be used very properly. So avoiding duplicating, that is the measure you need to ensure. Ensure inclusion of deserving old recipients, target population irrespective of the political choice and personal preferences. So poor people are going to choose irrespective of the political choice and personal preferences. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a big solution in your situation. This is I put a big question to you that you have to spell out in your own positions. I put it there 4, as time is very short. So you go for 7 to 8 stakes. For how many stakes you will be going there? That will be, you will get final project identifications and better work for the projects. Ladies and gentlemen, now the SWOT analysis. I'm not talking, this is a local case, I'm not talking about one, but you recall, this is one, the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is under the strength, weakness, opportunities, and the threats. So it is here that is to here. I'm not just talking, I'm just one by one, just can you recall that one, that the irrigation project, that the strength is there, 200,000 hectares of land, for an example. Many other points will be there. Whenever you just strength of an area, you make it frame better. Then the physical resources, then institutional aspect, extension aspect. If you just make this segmented, that will give more, you will understand the area, more area, and of course you will love that. That will be very good one. So ladies and gentlemen, the strength is there. I just give you, as time is very short, I'm just looking my clock here. I'm sorry that I talk too much, too fast. It's my nature. Ladies and gentlemen, the strength is there, 200,000 hectares land is the strength of the particular area. And what is the opportunity? The opportunity is simple, that you will add how much money, how much the food production, 2 million metric tons of paddy at the end of the year. So that is the opportunity. And the weakness is there, the fishery community. Many people, including the fishery community, may lose their income during after the project implementation. And what are the threats? In the long run, the fishermen community may extinct from the society. So just to give you sense, but whenever you do SWOT analysis, you have to find out some segmented areas, like the physical resources, like institutional aspect, like the extension aspect. Then this way, on the local need basis, then you find out SWOT analysis. That will drive you whether you go for the project or not. And if you discard the project, irrigation project, that you are not going to that project, that same way you have to discard this project here. And this is not the only solution to select a project. That in all cases, I suggest you use 1 or 2 tools or metrics for a particular project. In Korean project, I was the project director. I carried out 2 workshops there for all different types of people here. and find out the development interventions. Then I'll carry out a ranking exercise. Then I'll find the magnitude, because resource is constrained, but the demand is high and the local need is very high. So on the basis of the people need, I ranks the priority, and accordingly I allocated the budget on that, and accordingly I got the approval from the government and implemented it rightly. So ranking exercise, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just coming to the ranking exercise, that one. Let me clear it to you, not as a bookish and not as a give a theory idea. So I carried out let me recall my project of the Korean supported project, Korea supported project. That I throw two workshops, one workshop daily, two workshops there. Accordingly, I find out some of the development intervention need areas, some of the problems of the need of the areas. Then I generated 15 of them, including the institutional aspect. Then I go to the village and sit to the people, all type of people, and give them, ask individually that you have 15 problems, just prioritize by your own. Which one? Somebody gives the number 15 problem is one. Somebody gives number 1 is number 1. Somebody gives that number 7 is 2. So I just make it weighted, and just that's the summation of the work gives that the top ranking need of the area. You know, the elected representatives are there, local leaders are there, farmers are there, cooperators are there, landless people are there, women are there. So all types of people are there, landless and poor people are there. So they don't need to raise their voice. They write in the paper that these are the areas. So accordingly, we just carry out the ranking exercise. And also sometimes we research finding, Bangladesh Academy, I recall with respect, the golden time, the best time I spend in my life in Bangladesh Academy for Global Development. My development, I speak in different global forums, and that is how I get from the bar. I salute bar, I salute Dr. Tanvir Khan, and I call it working at bar. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how I carry out in the project area. Research findings, so they are also carrying the research finding there. So use for preliminary, you can use the research finding, but you have to go for metrics, you have to go for, at least you have to find 2 or 3 tools to select a project, to identify. You have to clear yourself, what is your need. You cannot jump in a project. You have to clear yourself through the metrics, through the different ways, that these are the things, then you understand the project. When you understand the project of a particular area, believe me, huge confidence grow in your mind, in your heart. Then you will get another spirit to move, to do some good work for the poor people, to do some good work for the country, for your nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I like to stop here with some concluding remarks. Please allow me, I talk too much. I don't like to torture on your patience for a longer time. So projects are identified, prepared and implemented by departments and autonomous institutions under the ministry in majority cases. Projects are generally identified on the basis of local needs and match with SDGs, national plan, etc. Prescribed forms are used to prepare project proposal, monitoring and also evaluation at the end. Projects of higher investment need feasibility study at the start, which has to incorporate in the project proposal. Not in many cases, whenever you suppose the project, your rationale is there, tools is there, but you need to, the government needs a feasibility study before approval. What are the feasibility study? And I should say, I'm sure that many of younger colleagues are listening my speech. I say you, it is a hard task, but whenever you get inside it, of course you love it. And among many glittering memories in my life, I always recall that time when I was project director and faced so many problems in the field situation and solve it with the people's participation. So results of project can be give better rationale in favor of project project. without using project tools or identification tools or metrics, you cannot rationally build up a project deployment. Because whenever you prepare a project, you have to face the project in higher authorities. First your department, then you go for the ministry for the projection, and in all cases you have to say your rationale. You have to express your heart that you believe that one is a very rational one, and that is very important work to carry out. So, ladies and gentlemen, project identification by using different tools gives the foundation of a project as well as grow confidence to the project manager. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot see your blessing faces. I feel sad for them because this is something new, the online platform. No way to see you, but I believe that many of I know many of you. I know that some of you are already my friends in Facebook. So I acknowledge my respect and express my gratitude to all of you for tolerating me in the last 40 minutes time. So thank you very much. Hope to see you again. Thank you very much.